So you're thinking of moving to Long Island, but wait, these are the top things I wish I knew before I moved here. Keep in mind, you're speaking to one of the people that have lived in Long Island for many, many years, and all the things we're gonna share with you today, I wish I knew, Chris wish he knew, and we're gonna share some information with you that will help you along your journey when you do move from another state. And if you're new here, we are moving to Long Island, the #1 relocation team on Long Island. We love receiving your texts, calls, and emails. It's amazing. Keep reaching out to us. We're happy to help. Whether it's 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years, let us know and enjoy the video. So the first thing you guys need to know is the traffic. So Long Island wasn't meant to be so densely populated, but it is, right? So we do have a lot of traffic depending on where you are. Most major parkways are between 3 and 4 lanes. With that being said, if you're looking at traffic times, in the morning time, you're looking at anywhere between 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And rush hour, we don't even know why it's called rush hour. No one's rushing, but it's between the times of, you would say, 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock, right? So if you are traveling along those times, try to avoid that by traveling an hour earlier or an hour later. So what a lot of people do to avoid the highways is they take the service road, but I just want you to keep in mind that with the service roads, there are traffic cameras, there are speed cameras, that's how they get you over here. So you want to be super careful when you're driving to not go over between the 25 to 30 mile an hour limit, or else you will get caught. And they're constantly upgrading these camera systems, and that's how Long Island and New York State makes a lot of their money. Also, something to keep in mind is there's always work being done on the roads, whether that's the side streets or the highways. We do get potholes. They are filled and resurfaced pretty quickly, but I want to keep in mind that when you are driving, you're gonna see a lot of these construction trucks. So when you do see those trucks, you have to proceed with caution. And also, in addition to that, they are doing a lot of renovation to add bridges, repair work, and just keep that in mind as you are traveling throughout the Long Island highways.
Next on the list is going to be seasons. So as you guys probably have heard, we have such a wide variety of weather here. So in the wintertime, it is very cold here. You know, this past winter in 2024 really wasn't too terrible. We had maybe 2 or 3 snows. They were about 5 to 7 inches that we got on the ground. Now typically when that happens, the trucks go out, they make sure to salt the roads, plow the roads, and that's partially the reason why we have so many potholes here on Long Island. And just about every spring when the winter's over, there's a lot of road work out there on the highways and the main roads because they're filling up the potholes that they just created. But it's completely necessary to keep the roads safe, so the salt trucks go out very often, as well as the plows. As far as things you could do in the wintertime, you're very close to Manhattan, so you can utilize Radio City for the famous Rockettes. Rockefeller Center has its skylift, they have the beam now. You can go to the Chrysler Building, the Empire State Building. Beautiful things that they do over there in the holidays. So you can really utilize your close proximity to Manhattan to be able to have a good time in the winter, a lot of entertainment. They also do things out here on Long Island, such as concerts, dining, holiday expos. So it's really a ton to do whether you're in Nassau or you're in Suffolk. You can definitely entertain in the winter. Now, as far as your spring, your summertime, and your fall, the springtime, again, they're fixing the roads really for the most part. You're getting the blooming flowers. So the weather is pretty fair. It's pretty good. We're in spring right now as of the time I'm filming this video. It's about to be March 24th. And when it comes to the summertime, that's when things start to get really hot, really humid. And you'll notice it gets a bit sticky. If you go to like a vineyard or something, you're gonna stick to the chair a little bit if you don't dress for the weather there. So that being said, you definitely have different closets of clothes for your winter, for your summer months, so keep that in mind. But you're gonna be able to enjoy in the summertime our beaches, boating, water skiing, surfing. If you're into that kind of stuff, we have a ton of it out here on the island, so be sure to check it out if you're coming by. And of course, my favorite season, the most beautiful one there is here, is fall, without a doubt. You have a ton of fall foliage where the leaves actually turning and changing colors, and it's really beautiful to see because there's so many trees out here, a lot of wooded area, so definitely something to enjoy.
So next on the list is going to be property taxes. So property taxes range depending on where you are, right? If you're talking about the beginning of Long Island, they can range as low as, you would say, $8,000 to $10,000. And if you want to shift all the way to the Hamptons, you can see taxes in the hundreds of thousands per year, but it really just depends on where you're situated on the stretch on Long Island that you're going to be residing in, right? Something to keep in mind with the taxes are going to be the village and the school taxes, and depending on where you are is how much they're going to fluctuate. Just keep in mind, in Long Island, we have some of the highest taxes in the country, and with that being said, there are different ways that you can pay these taxes. You can pay them monthly, quarterly, or yearly, depending on how you structure your finances. So there are things you can do to grieve your taxes. There are services such as Maidenbaum where you can actually reach out, and if they save you a portion off your taxes, you pay a percentage on what they save you. So that can be pretty huge, especially as a first-time buyer here. or even a second-time buyer, right? So we've even seen companies such as Main and Bound save our clients as high as 30% per year on their annual taxes, which is a huge plus, right? Because sometimes the previous owners never grieve them, they never lower them. So in turn, that does affect the new homeowner. So we want to get that as low as humanly possible.
The next topic on the list is trains. Now, regardless if you take our advice and our recommendation to get a vehicle, you're still gonna at some point be taking the trains, especially if you have to commute to Manhattan. Sometimes it just makes sense financially, and sometimes time-wise, you can beat a lot of traffic if you're just taking the railroad versus driving in cars, sitting in the traffic. So in every YouTube video that we make, we do have in the description the MTA Train Time app. Vital for scheduling your trains and seeing where they're running. If you're going to be having to connect at another train at Jamaica Station, so you'll know all of that. And if you're bringing a bike or you're bringing cargo, some of the trains won't allow that. They're express trains, so you have to just kind of check on that app. That lays out everything, makes it easy to buy your tickets, get the train schedule, know where you're transferring. And it really helps you keep you in the loop. I have it myself. I recommend it for everybody. And just for disclosure, we are not paid by them at all. I just really recommend the app. Now, every town, pretty much every village here on Long Island, so we don't have to deal with that again, it has their own train station. So it's pretty vital. It's pretty easy to use. And just make sure when you're going through using the trains. I mean, this is a 120-mile wide island. So at some point, it doesn't make sense to drive, especially if you're going to be drinking. You want to make sure that you're able to be responsible, and you can have the train take care of that for you. So very easy to use, easy to do. There is a big difference between Nassau County and Suffolk County, and I'm going to list a few of the differences out for you right now that you would want to know if you're going to be living here. A lot of your vineyards, cider houses, wineries, that's going to be the more rural type of feel. That takes place in Suffolk County. That's where the Hamptons are at. That's where the North Fork is. And you're going to be seeing a lot of that more peaceful, rural style life. Now, don't get me wrong. There are residential homes there. They are very nice. And the prices on them definitely are growing steadily. But, a lot of equity to be had over there. You just want to make sure if you're not into that, then maybe you're more of a city feel. You like to be really close to everything. Maybe you're fine with a smaller lot. Nassau County would be more your style. But out in Suffolk County, it's a little bit more spacey. It's a little bit more dark at night. There's not so many lights on the road, or not as many as you would see in Nassau County. And basically, it's just a more rugged feel. But you can still have a really good life out there. It's not like lower class lifestyle. It's more of a feel of the countryside of Long Island. Sometimes people confuse that when they come to us. It's definitely a bit more spaced out and quieter than it is in Nassau County. Although, don't get me wrong, there are other villages, there are other restaurants, there are bars, such as Patch Hog, Babylon, Melville. East Northport has a very nice village down by the waterport, Jefferson. You can watch the ferries coming in. You'll see that it's a little bit slowed down pace, and that's kind of the vibe you like, then you might enjoy it in Suffolk County. Nassau County is a bit more crammed together. It's closer to Manhattan. It's more of a city feel in the way that the lots are a little bit smaller. There's a lot more stores and congestion there. So think of it like that. That's your difference. It's a little bit more densely populated in Nassau County. Hope you're enjoying the video. Be sure to like and subscribe. And again, we are the #1 relocation team here on Long Island. We love getting the calls, the texts, the emails. So be sure to reach out to us. Whether your move is coming up in 3 days or 3 months, we want to know all about it. And we love helping you guys out. So all of our information is in the description below.
So next we're going to talk about parking. Something to keep in mind is if you're in an incorporated village or if you're in a regular town, they differ, right? So for example, if you're in a village, there are certain days and times that you can or cannot park on the street, depending on street cleaning. If that's being done, then of course you can't park there, or else you will get a ticket. There are municipal lots in many towns that you can pay for, and then there are free lots in a lot of places that you can also utilize. Some towns have these parking garages where if you go to the village, you can pay a monthly cost, and a lot of times they're cheaper than what you would find in Manhattan or anywhere else, right? Because they want people to spend money in their towns, right? In addition, if you are in a village and if you're just paying for normal street parking, you actually don't have to pay for that. A lot of times you have a permit you can put in and you pay like 20 to 40 bucks a year just to park in that location, and then you just renew it every year. So if you're open to paying something like that, you'll have less cars loitering in the area and you'll have more residents that are living there and not just people from other towns. So you're gonna find a lot of this in Nassau County, but you'll find the alternative side parking where you can park on one side of the road for a specific amount of time, and then when it becomes another day, you have to shift to the other side of the road. So I want you to pay attention to that and read the signs.
The next thing is going to be childcare. And guys, believe me, if you have jobs, you're a working family, both parents are working, you're going to have maybe potentially utilize some of the childcare facilities that we do have on Long Island, such as daycares, nurseries, things like that. So we have plenty of those, whether you're in Nassau or Suffolk County. They're a really good resource to use, but this is also something you're going to want to factor into your monthly expenses, because keep in mind, things aren't just right around the corner, and that's why you might need to utilize some of these facilities. If you work 10 or 15 miles away from your home, you can't really get to your kid in time to pick them up from school. You know, it could be wise to utilize these facilities, and they are very good. I did attend some of them as a kid myself, but it's definitely something you want to plan for, as well as the sports and sporting events. So a lot of the extracurricular activities that I have at schools, some of them are limited. So if your child wants to get into sports that are not necessarily affiliated with the school, there are plenty of leagues and systems outside of the schools that they can have, you know, public travel leagues if they do baseball, if they do soccer, lacrosse. So definitely keep an open mind on that, and that's helped a lot of people get scholarships for their kids. Scouts do attend these games and events, so it's definitely important to know where they are and your local resources within the town that you're going to be living in.
So next would be the cost of living. Yes, Long Island is pretty expensive, but with these tips, you'll be prepared in order to shift location from wherever you are to Long Island to make it the easiest transition possible for you and your family. Some things to consider, right? Groceries, gym membership, after-school care, if you do have kids. These are all things that are going to eat into your monthly expenses, right? Not to mention your monthly mortgage, not to mention your taxes as we just discussed, not to mention any leisure activities that you might do on the weekends, right? All of these things do add up, and you just want to budget correctly so you can have a good work-life balance and also put some money into savings, right?
Utilities, something everyone is going to have to deal with here on Long Island. As you know, we have natural gas, propane, or oil. You can include things like solar, electric, but generally, a majority of the houses are either going to be natural gas or they're going to be an oil tank. And we do know that those prices do fluctuate, and what it could cost to heat your home. If you got to blast that heat in the wintertime, it also is going to be the other way around when you need to blast that AC in the hot summers that we do have. So big things you could throw into your home that really add value to it too are expanding foam insulation, newer windows, really things that help regulate temperature in the home. And this way you don't have to spend a huge bundle on your heating and your AC. Other things you have to factor in for your utilities, sprinklers. Guys, your lawn will die in the summertime if you don't have water on it. You can either do this yourself with a hose or you get a sprinkler system. The running cost of that is so different, but we can definitely fill you guys in with people if you're looking to get some of those systems put into your home. And electric and internet and Wi-Fi as well, something you always want to factor into your bills. So you have room in your monthly budget. You want to make sure you have your fund money, your utility money, of course, either it's going to be your rent or your mortgage, your taxes, something to definitely keep an eye on because you won't miss it. You will definitely see these bills when they come in. So it's something to be aware of when you get over here.
So in Long Island, you're going to find a lot of shopping malls, and that leads me to my next point. People shop, right? It's going to be expensive here to buy clothing, so do budget for that. So just keep in mind that in Long Island, there is a ton to do on the weekends, right? From your bars to your movies, to your public parks in the summertime where they have free concerts. There's so much to do, right? And with those concerts also come venues that you're gonna spend money on food and drinks and all that stuff, so do budget for that.
You made it to the end. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment what you want to see from us, guys, which towns you want us to tour, what things you have questions on about moving to Long Island, and we are happy, again, to always get your calls, your texts, your emails, whether you're making a move in 3 days, 3 months, we want to hear about it. Be sure to reach out. All of our descriptions have the information you need. We'll see you in the next video.